A keystone species is a species that other organisms in the ecosystem largely depend on. In the food web shown, the arrows represent the direction that the energy is being consumed and hunted by other predators. Notice that none of the arrows are pointing towards the autotrophs, which are plants, at the base of the food web. This is because autotrophs do not consume other organisms, but instead they make their own food through photosynthesis. If the keystone species is the otter, then sea urchins' population would increase, as well as sea stars. The invertebrate population would also increase. Crabs and kelp population will decrease. Since the otters are keystone species and also at the top of the food chain, kelp and crabs population will decrease because they need food to make, which the otters are not producing. Sea urchins, sea stars, larger fish, and invertebrate population will increase due to the amount of food increase.
A food web will show a habitat with a high biodiversity. Bio means life and diversity means differences. Biodiversity means a large group of different types of organisms. A food chain is much more simple and only involves a linear pathway of energy being transferred between just a few organisms in an ecosystem, but it can also be useful in seeing how a limiting factor impacts a population size. In this graph, we can see that from 1930 to 1950, the otter population declined.
At the bottom of the food chain are called primary producers, also known as autotrophs, like plants, mosses, and algae. They receive the energy from the sun and turn light energy into food energy for consumers during photosynthesis. Sugar is also the main energy substance made by plants that consumers can use for energy. The first consumers are called primary consumers and include all herbivores who eat vegetation. All consumers above the primary producers are called heterotrophs because they eat others. The 10% rule in ecology means that only 10% of the energy consumers digest is actually stored in their bodies. The other 90% of the energy is lost in the form of heat, metabolism, digestion, and poop. You can also see how the percentage of energy at each trophic levels decrease due to this energy loss. In terms of biomass, there are always more primary consumers in an ecosystem and less apex predators because of the loss of energy within the trophic levels.